I love the
Hey,
saying.
sister
Hey,
girl.
Girl.
If you or someone you love is struggling with chronic inflammation, autoimmune conditions, mental health challenges, or gut issues like IBS, today's show is for you. This episode is going to be powerful, life changing, and packed with information you don't want to miss. Robyn at Carnivore's grandma will kick us off by sharing her incredible personal healing story on the carnivore way of eating. And trust me, you're going to want to hear this. Plus, G and I will be diving deep into the science behind chronic inflammation. I'll be breaking down how it connects to autoimmune disease, and G will uncover its powerful impact on mental health. But before we get started, do us a favor. If you're watching live or on the replay, hit that like button and share this video with your friends, your family, anyone who needs to hear this message. And let us know where you're tuning in from in the comments. We love seeing our sister girl family grow. Invite the audience to share. Y'all come in, share your stories in the comments, and I'm going to turn it over to Robyn to take it away.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Hey, Sister Girl. We're so glad that you're here. Tonight, I want to talk a little bit about why in the heck am I a carnivore? Because it's so counterintuitive to everything that we have been taught. And so I just really wanted to share tonight a little bit about my story and why I'm doing carnivore. And so I'll start out. I was 11 years old when I first decided that I needed to go on a diet. And I always felt chubby, big. I always felt like I was overweight, even when I wasn't overweight. I look at the pictures of the little girl that I was, and I realized I was not a chubby little girl, but I always felt that way. I would have people say little comments to me about my size, and it really just embedded, I guess, in my heart as a feeling of fat. So I feel like I had, and I was not diagnosed with this, but like a body dysmorphia from a very young age, where I looked at myself and I saw a big fat person. And so I started dieting at age 11, and I was on the right track actually, because I tried to start eating just some raw ground beef, but my mom was like, "Oh no, that's not going to work. You need to eat something else." I remember trying to eat just carrots. I remember trying to just, eat some grapefruit as a young teenager. And so I was a dieting queen. I could do a diet. And if I needed to lose some weight, I would do a diet, and then I would go off the diet and gain all my weight back. So I did all of the diets. Everything that I heard about, I tried it. So I tried the cabbage soup diet. I tried the grapefruit and egg. I just talked to my dad. He said he's doing the grapefruit and egg. I'm like, "Oh, please don't do that." But I tried the medical weight loss clinic, where you go in and you buy all their food and it doesn't have any salt in it. And it's totally a whole bunch of processed food. I did all the diets, including keto. And I did keto for 5 years, fell off, and then struggled for 5 years to try to get back on it. So the three areas I kind of want to focus on tonight are my weight, the eczema that I had, and the mental health issues that I had. So I'll tell you how I ended up on carnivore. I actually had heard about carnivore years back. I think maybe I heard about Kelly Hogan, and they were talking about doing carnivore. I was like, that sounds crazy. Who does that? That's not something that, I would never be able to do that. Just like a lot of you probably say, I would never be able to do that. But I actually watched Dr. Berry do it. So if you have not seen Dr. Berry's channel, he talks about a variety of different issues and ailments that are healed, cured, put in remission through a carnivore way of eating. But I literally watched him go from keto to carnivore, and he was thriving. He started looking amazing. He started looking healthier. Even though he was already looking pretty good, when he went carnivore, it was like a switch flipped. And so after I watched him do that, I was like, okay, so I felt okay to try it because he's a physician. You know, he's been a doctor for many years, and he actually was thriving on a carnivore way of eating. So I decided to try it. In February 2023, February 22nd, 2023, I decided to go ahead and try the carnivore diet. So I do want to show you guys my little my image, because I want to talk about the before and after. What happened to my body when I went on the carnivore diet. So I'm going to just pull this image up for you guys. So there's 3 areas. Weight. Okay, so that if you look on the left-hand side, that's the befores, and then on the right-hand side is the afters. So you can see I struggled with my weight. I yo-yo dieted up and down, and I constantly was going back and forth with my weight. I had a upper limit. So if I got up to 200 pounds, I'm going on a diet and I'll get down. I got very small at various times, but I just could not maintain that weight. So if you look on the left-hand side, you see me trying to be cute. Look at that belly hanging out. I mean, I was like really struggling. And that middle one with my hands on my belly, that was on keto. So on the right-hand side, you guys can see this is basically me within the last year. This is how I've looked. And the thing about it is, as far as my weight is concerned, I have not lost a whole ton of weight. A lot of people go on carnivore and they say, oh, I lost 50, 60 pounds. But I think that I'm close to my weight loss goal. And so it's taking a long time for my body to release weight. But what I can say is my shape is changing. And the way my weight loss looks on my body is different than it has ever looked before. So I've lost a lot of weight. I've gotten very small, and then I did not look very healthy. You know, like my neck would look like I had a big old head on a little tiny neck. And but I feel like the way that this weight loss is, I look healthy. And so that's something that I really, really like about being on this way of eating and the way that my weight loss looks. I literally put on a pair of size 10 pants, and I was so shocked that I was able to just slip them on. And my scale is not telling me like you're losing a whole bunch of weight, but the way my clothes fit is like it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. So the next thing I want to touch on is my eczema. So I've had eczema all of my life since I was an infant. I was the little baby that was with the little mittens on because I was busy trying to scratch myself as an infant. I was the one with the dark ring around my neck. I had the patches in the arms and behind the knees. I had eczema all my life since birth. And so if you look here, the two sections here are about eczema. So you can see I had eczema on my face, and I always looked like I got punched in the eye. Always. And I had this dark ring around my mouth. And so these are over the years. I mean, I always looked like this. And then these are within the last year. Okay. So that's how my skin looks. I do not look like I got punched in the eye. And that eczema has been awful, like all my life. And this is something that is like a game changer for me. Literally within 30 days on carnivore, this cleared up. I could not believe that this cleared up so fast. I was, first of all, not expecting it to clear up. And then when it did, people started to say, "Oh my gosh, your skin, it looks so clear. Like, what are you doing? What kind of regimen are you using on your face?" I don't use anything on my face. I just use water to clean my face, unless I wear makeup. If I wear makeup, then I'll put a little, cleanser on there. But I don't do anything. I don't have a skin regimen. So if my skin looks good, it's attributed to me, to the carnivore way of eating. So, and then that bottom section is my hands. So I have a condition. I say have a condition because if I eat the wrong thing, this thing will flare up. And if you watch my channel, you've seen that I've had a few flares during the course of time. So this is dyshydrotic eczema. And I knew that this was caused by food. I knew that there were certain things that would trigger this. But I went to the dermatologist and they told me this is unrelated to food. Take these injections, lay in the bed, like in the tanning bed, and get the UV rays on your body. Put this cream on it. The cream would not touch this. It itches so bad that the only thing that touches the itch is scalding. Scalding hot water is the only thing that would touch the itch of this. And anybody who has this knows exactly what I'm talking about. That when you get hot water on this, that's the only thing that touches this itching. This eczema was so bad that it ruined my fingerprints. So I went to go be fingerprinted to travel, and my fingerprints were muted. I did not have fingerprints for them to take because the dyshydrotic eczema, my entire hands peeled off. And this is something that flares up if I eat like too much heavy cream, if I have even too much butter. I realized when I was doing the stick of butter a day challenge that too much butter without the milk solids removed is actually something that is a trigger for my eczema. Sugar or anything that converts to sugar is actually a trigger for my eczema. So sometimes I will have a flare up. And it's because I've had something that I cannot tolerate. So, other things that were addressed, unbelievably, were my seasonal allergies. So I've had seasonal allergies all my life. I mean, I did not realize that this was food related. I had no idea that hay fever, being allergic to something every single season, having to take allergy pills every single day, 2 times a day, plus Benadryl at night, every single day. I did not realize that this was related to food. But when I changed my diet in February. In the spring, I didn't have seasonal allergies. And I'm sitting here looking at people, wait a minute, isn't this like hay fever season? Isn't this the springtime allergy season? And everybody was with their runny eyes and itchy noses, sneezing, coughing, drainage in the throat. And I'm sitting around like, oh, so carnivores don't have allergies? Well, carnivores do and can have allergies, but they're nowhere near as bad as they used to be. So the final topic that I want to touch on is the mental health aspect, because this has truly been a game changer as far as mentally how things work. There were certain ways of thinking that I had that I thought were normal, my normal state of being. So things like food obsession, constantly thinking about food, thinking about my next meal while I'm working on this meal. And, constantly just hashing over, what am I going to eat? What did I eat? So this is one of the reasons that I don't like to track anything, is because of that food obsession. It makes me feel obsessed. I had these racing thoughts and a feeling of impending doom. I would tell people, do not call me on the phone. Don't call me, because if my phone rings, I'm going to be certain that something terrible and devastating has happened. And I would always be afraid if my phone rang. My first inclination would be the racing heart. I would have a surge of fear every time my phone rang. So I would say, like, just text me or, send me a message, don't call. because I would be so afraid. And then I had this severe, debilitating anxiety. Now, I can say that I still have anxiety. Even though I've been carnivore for almost 2 years, I still have anxiety. But compared to what it was, it's just been a game changer. One day I realized that, oh, somebody just called my phone and I didn't even have a thought that something terrible happened. I was so shocked. And then I realized that that was happening over and over again. Like, people would text me, call me, and I wasn't even afraid that something awful had happened. I wouldn't even think first that something terrible had happened. And I literally thought that that was a normal state of mind for myself, that something, that this impending doom. And in about 30 days, little over 30 days of carnivore, I had this overall, I'm calling it an overall, generalized whole body feeling of well-being. I had never felt it before, never. And I don't always feel it every day now, but that feeling was so golden. It was like the sunshine shining down. It was so golden to have that feeling of well-being. I had never experienced it that I can remember in my life. And so, this chronic inflammation is a huge factor in all of the issues that I just talked about. And I didn't realize that this was due to inflammation, due to metabolic syndrome, due to overactive insulin in my body. So, Denitra is going to talk to us a little bit about the science of what is going on with this. But I can say for myself, carnivore has been a game changer. After 30 days on carnivore, I knew I could never go back to the way that I was eating before, which was struggling to get back on keto. And, certain things triggering me to just go off the rails. I don't have that feeling of I'm going to go off the rails on carnivore because I don't eat carbohydrates, which are the things that triggered me. So I'm going to turn it over to Denitra, and she's going to talk a little bit about the science.
Wow, Robyn, thank you for letting us have a picture into your journey and your healing journey, and just breaking it down and being able to share your experience. I always feel when I share certain things that, it just makes you raw, right? Because it's still so personal, and, we're all still on our journey. So I do want to share with us a bit about the science behind it all. So bear with me while I do a little shifting here. And I think I'm supposed to push that. And so basically, you talked a lot about the experience that you've had, the inflammation. And so I want to really help people understand what inflammation is. Inflammation is your body under attack. It is damage from your tissues, your organs, your cell activity. Everything is under attack. And so when you hear Robyn referring back to it had to do with the food that I was eating, no one ever told me that. I was told to take injections to clear it up. Essentially, there are certain things that we put in our body that are foreign to our body. These are foreign substances. And so you notice that I'm not using the term food, because food is good for us. So these things are food products. They've been passed off as food. We can intake them. However, what we're learning is that they are causing trauma in our bodies. And so if you notice on the screen where Robyn talked about her individual issues relative to inflammation, I want to point out that there are many others. Heart disease is a form of inflammation, type 2 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, cancer, Alzheimer's. Yes, Alzheimer's, that thing that we think we only get when we get old. Alzheimer's is a direct correlation to inflammation and then irritable bowel syndrome. And so just taking it a step further, y'all know that I'm the insulin resistance lady. All of this is still tied back to how insulin is operating in your body. So we get this chronic inflammation because of insulin. So many doctors are prescribing, if you just take a look at the screen, you're getting a different diagnosis for this and a different pill for this and a different pill for that. But if you listen to Robyn closely, one of the things that she pointed out is that everything started changing. And so the way I try to say it is that insulin resistance manifests in many different ways. So let's just pause and soak that up, right? There are these different manifestations that we're treating differently. You're seeing a rheumatologist for your autoimmune issue. You're seeing an endocrinologist for your diabetes. You're seeing another doctor for your heart disease. All of these things are directly tied to how insulin is operating or the lack thereof in your body. Okay. And so Robyn mentioned actually, and I don't know how to make this go forward, guys. Sorry. What am I doing? Let me just stop really quickly. I'm gonna dial back and then go share again. My apologies.
Girl, until we get all the robots in, you still got us humans operating error. Don't worry. Listen, everything that we're talking about from the pictures that we've shown, everything is on point. And I knew you were going to tie in insulin resistance because we need to say that so much so everybody knows. Everybody knows that it's all coming from one place. I like how even on that first slide, I don't know what the next slide is, y'all, but on the first one, you started saying how there's going to be a diagnosis, and keep in mind there's going to be a medicine for every last one of them. Or we could turn around and take that right there out of your food and you healed, cured.
And that was the thing, is that all of these conditions that I had, and I didn't even mention like IBS and high blood pressure, every single issue had a medicine to go along with it. And I'm like, okay, so here is my current philosophy is like, why am I trying to take a medicine when the food can do the work? And your body can heal itself from the inside out, given the proper fuel. And we're not being really necessarily told that the food is the problem. I mean, the non-food.
Right.
Ladies, thank you for covering that for me. Yes, I'm learning this new system. The acute inflammation are things that are not caused by insulin resistance. So that's if you have a punch, you have an injury, that is inflammation, but it's not chronic. Chronic is going to be that thing that is directly tied to disease, high blood sugar, leading to cancer, leading to Alzheimer's, leading to rheumatoid arthritis. And so when we talk about how does that develop, it develops through infections that activate your immune system. So a lot of times when you hear people talking about, I have an autoimmune issue, and we say we don't know what it stems from. I've never heard a doctor say that I know how an autoimmune issue originates. They usually say they don't know, but then they try to tell you things to be aware of. And my brain says, well, that's probably what causes it, right? So certain things that you continue to put in your body are going to cause issues. And so let's look at a couple of foods that could potentially be your issue. And they all go back to carbohydrates. But processed foods, for sure, if it's in a package, it is a processed foods. Now we have processed foods, and then we have ultra processed foods. Your cookies, your chips, all of those things are laden with sugar. They all are going to metabolize in your body as sugar. And so these things that you're having that, in the medical community, we hear that there is a pill for every ill. When what we're saying tonight is that you can be your own controller of that by simply not putting certain things in your body. This is where the inflammation, because your body has no use for it. So when you consume these processed foods, you're not going to poop them out immediately. You're not going to cry them out immediately. And so now they're going to store on your body as inflammation. And most of these things are made with plants. They are plant-based. So it's not meat that's causing these issues. So when you look at bread, it stems from plants. When you look at pasta, it's flour and water, rice, cereals, baked goods. All of these things are plants. And so the body is not meant to metabolize these things. And when you can't metabolize them, then they store on your body. And so how do we want to start turning the corner to manage these things? And I think, Robyn, you even mentioned having asthma. Psoriasis could be an issue that you're suffering with. All of these things, again, are manifestations of chronic inflammation that are driven by insulin resistance and how insulin is operating in your body, or again, the lack thereof. And so I want to come out of this and show you all one last thing that we will put in the chat. Bear with me one second. Do we have questions, or are we saving questions to the end, lady?
I had to unmute myself. No, I've been trying to put them up as you guys have been talking.
Okay.
Yeah, we just have a comment from Tasha.
Okay. So I want to share this document, and again, we will share this in the show notes as just a little taste of how we can start to turn this around. So again, I'm a metabolic health practitioner with the Society of Metabolic Health Practitioners. This document was created by them. And so if you look, we see the lights, right, where we're in the red. So if you notice all of these things that are in the red, these are the things that are causing you inflammation. I heard you say, Robyn, about you used to eat carrots. I too personally was diagnosed with autoimmune. I'm going to talk about my story next week, but I too was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder and was offered medications in turn to diet to change that. So a lot of things that we think are healthy for us, like we want to eat vegetables unlimited, we must discover which vegetables work for us and which vegetables do not work for us. And so we think things like crackers and potatoes, tortilla chips, where I just have a little bit of those. Really, when you are insulin resistant and you are dealing with some type of chronic illness or autoimmune issue, you want to not put these foods in your bodies, all the way down to nuts. So here's the issue when you think about nuts. People say that nuts and beans are protein. The problem is that they're also sugar. And so you have to weigh out, am I going to take a chance with these nuts? So for me, I no longer consume nuts. I was the queen of nut flours when I started doing keto, but I learned that those nuts were still causing me issues. And so this is in the red, these no starch and no sugary foods that you should start to eliminate from your diet. And then when you go a little further and you look for things that are just low carb, where there are some non-starchy vegetables here, there are some leafy greens here, there are some low carbs. But again, you see that these things have carbohydrates in them, these soy sauces, the heavy whipping creams, the dairy. This is where you start to learn about your own body and what works for you. You hear Robyn say, yes, on low carb, I can have heavy cream, but what I know from my own body is that heavy cream doesn't work for me. And so this is where you start to get to know and get intimate with your own body. And then as you look in the green area and you see the different things that are listed here, you're going to see that meat in our show, and all three of us practice carnivore. Meat does not metabolize in your body as sugar. We're going to just pause and hold the mic right there, because meat has been demonized for many of us, and we no longer, I hear people with a badge of honor to be able to say, oh yeah, I don't eat meat. When I'm working with clients and I ask them about their eating, they're proud to tell me that they don't eat meat. And so then I have to go and understand and unpack why they don't eat meat. Meat is nutritious for you. It is nutrient dense. And what I mean by nutrient dense is you're going to get the best bang for your buck. So I've said this often, and I use it as an example a lot, is if you're looking for vitamin A and you think eating spinach is going to get you there, it will not get you there as fast as a steak. You would need to eat a truckload, if you will, of spinach to get the same amount. And so when we talk about nutrient dense and you hear us talking about satiety, we want to eat foods that keep us full, that keep us satiated, so that we're not ravenous, we're not grazers, okay? And so if you look at the bottom, and I say some of these things are less bad, quote from Dr. Berry, Ken Berry, less bad is if you must have something to drink, then choosing something that is a zero carb, no sugar added, then those are not going to cause you as many problems. Me personally, I've had to eliminate some of those. I don't eat processed meats because of the impact that they have on my body. And so I just want to pause to see where we are on questions. I'm going to stop sharing and see where we are on questions.
I
Well,
don't see
one
any
of the
questions
things
now.
that I would like for you to touch on, especially when you had the chart up, you were talking about the meat. I talk about this often. Somewhere they told us that meat will sit and rot in your system.
Oh,
Let's help the people.
let my elderly folks in church, let's help you. Let's help you today.
Yeah.
So let's think about it this way. Let me start with plants first, because plants are actually the thing that will rot and sit in your body. Essentially, the inflammation that you're carrying is not meat. It is actually something that was plant-based. The weight that you carry, if you think about plants, they are a bulking agent. And so I use the analogy. I was at an event this weekend, and they had a beautiful bird, and they were feeding the bird in a little cup, and the lady was telling us that the bird throws out certain things that it doesn't like. And it is the little pebbles that come in a bag. And so I kept saying, this bird needs some worms. Birds eat worms, right? And so I go back to us, and I was telling my husband, I said, hey, we didn't even have bird sense. Birds use grass and plants to build their houses. I don't care when they come back to feed their birds. We watch them all summer long. They are going to bring worms back because that is their diet. That is what they eat. And so meat is not going to rot inside of you. What happens is your body absorbs those nutrients. So when people start saying to me, oh, I can't do meat, it feels like it just stays stuck in me. You're right. And you should be thankful for that, because now finally your body is getting nutrients. When I eat a steak, I don't expect it to come out. So I tell you all a little secret. I did a study with the guidance of my God on a lion and a lion's poop. It was the weirdest thing that I had heard in my life, right? A lion's poop. Remember, lions are carnivores. The thing is actually called skint. If you find poop in the wild for a lion, the only thing that remains in a lion's poop is skeletal bones and hair. So what does that say to us? That is the waste. That is the thing that the lion could not use, could not digest, could not absorb. All the meat was gone. There's no meat in his poop. So when people, and I'm working with clients, I have to help them understand that your body is absorbing those nutrients from the meat. So no, you're not looking for it to be in the toilet. I use gas as an analogy all the time. When you go to the gas pump and you pump your gas, you don't anticipate that it's going to come straight out the back end. you expect for it to work its way through the car and serve its purpose. It is the same way when you feed your body the fuel that it should be eating. Last thing I'll say before I turn it over to G, who's going to go a little deeper for us, is this concept around needing fiber. And so I often say that fiber will cause you to poop. However, it is not necessary. So because, and this is the way I say it for me, because it was waste coming in, it's going to be waste going out. But I didn't need fiber in order to waste what my body was no longer able to use once it had used up everything that it needed. And so when you think about, to bring this home, when you think about what you're eating each day and how your body is metabolizing it, if it is a plant or plant-based, your body is likely to store that, and it is stored as inflammation. Okay, that's fruit, that's vegetables. And I hear people say that they love fruit, they love vegetables. They're going to have their fruit, they're going to have their vegetables. And so I see your question about the constipation. So that it's really not constipation. If you are truly a meat eater, as we all are, we poop less, we stink less. Just sorry, right? Because we are consuming what is proper for our body. So our body is utilizing that, versus when we eat foods that our body cannot use, those things are trying to come right out. So this is why we're evidence-based people. So we think, oh, I ate a big salad and I had a poop that normalized me. No, that really was abnormal, right? This concept around I need to eat, I need to poop every time I eat. That's not accurate. If you're pooping every time you eat, when is your body going to get nutrients? Okay. And so it's not necessary. Fiber is not necessary to poop, but it will cause a poop. Okay. And I'm using poop so we can have this rated G conversation here. All right. I see the question. Why is it necessary for diabetics to be given sugar when their blood sugar gets too low? Is there anything non-sugar that helps? Not diabetic, but a family member who are. Great question, Trisha. So actually what's happening in the body is really this give you sugar thing is something that we created, right? We actually, and I don't want to talk about somebody's grandmama, right? Or even my own, like that's one of our own antidotes that we've created when we talk about somebody's blood sugar becoming low. People have learned their bodies enough to know when they're low. And essentially what's happening in the body is and you have to determine if we're talking about a type 1 diabetic and a type 2 diabetic, okay? Type 1 diabetics are going to always need insulin, right? A low carb diet, there are many reports and research out there shows that a type 1 diabetic can do really good as a low carb. So this question, I want to clarify, this question that I'm answering for you, Trisha, I'm answering it as a type 2 diabetic. So let's talk about what's happening to a type 2 diabetic. A type 2 diabetic is obviously, if their sugar is running low, they are not managing their diabetes. First of all, they are not under management. Perhaps they're not on meds, and they have, this is why their sugar may be running low, or they're not eating at all. Could be why their sugar is running low. As a type 2 diabetic, what's happening is insulin is fighting for you. Okay, she said it's a type 2 diabetic. Thanks. Mm-hmm. So insulin is fighting for you. The reason why we give type 2 diabetics insulin is because the insulin in their body is not managing for them correctly. So what happens when diabetes is poorly managed, you're all over the place. If you have a glucose monitor, you'll see it drop low. You'll see at that point, it doesn't matter if it's sugar or not sugar. You just need something to eat to activate insulin to start working. So I'm going to pause and let us digest that just for a moment. So where we're saying you have to give them sugar, you could give them anything to eat, because usually when blood sugar is running low, it means that you are not eating something at all, or you're taking a med and you're not eating sugar. Okay, so I'm working with a young lady right now who is a type 2 diabetic. She's been changing the way she's eating. She's taking all the carbohydrates out. And so now her body, her sugar is running low. She was in the 70s recently. And so that's because she had taken her meds and she's not eating sugar. Here's the thing, the meds that diabetics are taking are treating the fact that they are still eating sugar, that they're still eating carbohydrates. When you stop the carbohydrates, then there's nothing for the meds to treat. So again, let me say it to you this way. This young lady that I'm working with, she was taking her medicine religiously without testing her blood sugar. But she's also now starting to learn about what carbohydrates do to her. So she's eliminating them. So where on the meds, her sugar may have been running 150. The meds were bringing it down to 150, 160 in a day. When she started still taking the meds and the meds didn't have anything to work with, she then, because she doesn't have any carbohydrates in her body, she tanked. So I sent her to her doctor. I insisted, because I'm not a doctor and I don't give medical advice. Everything I do is educational, for educational purposes. So I insisted that she see her doctor. When she saw her doctor told her the same thing. Her doctor said to her that what you're doing is great and it's working for you. If you're going to stay consistent, then I can lower your dose of medicines. So where she had been on a diabetes medicine, and I want to say she's been on it between 5 and 10 years, she had been taking metformin at 1,000 milligrams, and the doctor lowered it to 500. But as I told her, the doctor reinforced it for her and told her, but I need you to check it before you take it, because she was prescribed that for the morning and the afternoon. If your blood sugar is normal when you test it, then you don't need to take the meds. So Trisha, that was a long way to get to an answer, because it's kind of complicated depending on what's happening with that person. So if they're already on meds and they've kind of changed up a little bit, they're exercising, they're moving more, and they're not eating the same amount of sugar, then the body is going to tank in blood sugar. And so this is why we talk about getting off of meds, being de-prescribe your medicines, because the way we talk about eating is actually what the medicine is mirroring. The medicine is mimicking this way of eating. So when doctors assume that you're not going to learn education, you're not going to change anything, then this is why you're on a lifetime of medicine. And they used to tell us that diabetes was not reversible, that it was a lifetime sentence, basically. But now we know that's not true. So I want to flip it over to G and let her take us a little bit deeper, give us a little bit more, so that you are armed with this information to share. And if you haven't already liked us, shared us, or give this over to someone, please do that. Go,
All
G.
right. Well, listen, y'all won't have to put no boots on. We're not going to go that deep. All right. What I'm going to talk about, I just want to touch a little bit, because Robyn and I have done shows in the past. And when we get to the anxiety portion of this, I like sharing my experience, which was a little different than hers. So how this chronic inflammation, once again, can contribute to things like anxiety, depression, and we're going to label this brain fog. Um, for me, I didn't suffer the way everybody else, the normal, traditional of what people say. And I'm going to be honest, I did. I was like, oh, can't go outside. What? I did not have a clear understanding, because I felt you put your mind to it and you do it. That's a little bit about like how my error was brought up. Here it is, you do it, think no more of it. Up until I lost my mom. And I found where I almost was in a panic to touch a doorknob to be outside. And I'm like, is this what people were feeling? Where you get nervous, anxious about somewhere where you need to go. I would be in the car and I'm like, oh my God, I just want to go back home. I just want to go back home. Yes, the death had something to do with that. But chemically up in here, the sugars and everything else I was taking in, I'm surprised I didn't crack well before that. Sis, if you going through something, I'm surprised you haven't broke down yet as well. Um, this inflammation, we're calling it that because we look at people and say they big, they overweight, they fat, whatever. It's so much more to that. It and honestly, besides, I'm not talking about like overly obese, like my 600-pound lifetime. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like your regular everyday. We get up, we go to work, we taking care of home, we thinking of ourselves, we're eating on the run, we go through drive-through, we reaching down doing this because we're trying to fuel ourselves because we still got to get the kids to practice. If school is in, oh my God, my got to get up here for this parent-teacher conference. My boss need me to stay after. Y'all hear all these things that's going on, and you did it. You didn't complain. You did it. But your body breaking down, sis. You are breaking down. You see it. I'm so thankful for Denitra. And so I got to make a side note here. Things that she says, she speaks my language. Okay. I that want see something, say something. Just, after being on this show and listening, and then I go and live my life. If you have those swollen ankles and start getting discoloration, that's not normal. I love how you said that's the body decaying and showing you some signs on the outside. But then we'll go to a dermatologist. They're going to give you some medicine for you to rub it, but it didn't go back to normal. I see people, look, I got alligator skin. It didn't go back to normal. We're putting toxins. Some of them, they give you a little spatula so you don't put it on your hands. But we doing this, and it's all connected with what you putting in your body. So chronic inflammation disrupts the neurotransmitter production. That's why with serotonin and dopamine, that's you're constantly trying to look for that because you're so inflamed. I wish I could have a little thing where all your nerve endings are just swollen, right? Pulsating. And it's sugar that's doing it. So, Lord have mercy. Hold on, y'all. I ain't moved nothing and the screen went blank because I just been talking. Let me find my spot. Jesus, help us, Lord. Help us all. I know.
You good. You good.
I know. They'll go down. It was. I got my spot, but at the same time, my flow. I saw someone was talking about being vegan. With this and how so was I. Chronic inflammation. I was vegan as well, and I say I was a fluffy vegan, and people would send little memes that during the hurricane, all the vegan food was still in there, but all the vegetables and stuff, everything was off the shelf. And a lot of time it was true. Listen, that food, that process, it's not good. You become vegan and you try and tolerate it. The non-melting cheese, you just want to know another cheese that melt a little bit better than that. The macaronis where you're trying to not have all the other stuff and it looks like a macaroni noodle, and then after you boil it, if you don't do it right, it's a little mushy. but then you eat it. And then if that didn't work, you're going to use the zucchini and twirl it up and make those to look like noodles. Stop it, I say. Just stop. That's not how we were supposed to eat. And we are tearing ourselves up. But I got to say, God is so good, because in the midst of us doing all of this to our bodies, we still here. We in pain. We're not comfortable. Might take you a moment to get up and walk and get that stiffness out. Some of us are needing knee and hip replacements. And none of that has to happen. None of it. I love Robyn's story. I had no idea that food could do this to your hands with the eczema. I mean, y'all know, growing up, I have a stepbrother. His skin, like his neck, sometimes he looked part reptile. And it was the food. And so you ask, well, how did Robyn, did your mom breastfeed you, or were you on some type of well, back then we didn't have I don't know what formula came
I'm
with.
sure I was on K-Row syrup
I
for
was just
formula.
getting ready to say, because back then I was raised on pet milk. I can tell you
Yeah, I
that
don't
now.
know.
I was
Well,
My
raised
you
on
know,
mom's
pet
in
even
here
now
though. Maybe she can answer.
the baby formula is, I mean, if you read the ingredients, it's high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah,
Is the
it
first
still
ingredient.
is.
So these
It
things are
is.
being allowed in our food. And this is why I say you have to identify is it food or not food, because a lot of what we see. I see a question from Sandra about what would you say is a great step for
Sorry.
someone starting out on an animal-based, low carb focused eating. The
I,
first thing okay, go ahead,
I
G.
was no, I was gonna say the sheet that you showed
Yes,
with the red, yellow, and
yes.
green. That is like a perfect one. Not only that, I have uh-oh, 3 or 4 months. I hear, come on, Miss Bernice, you better get in there. You better get in there. Yes, you did. But all right, so Miss Bernice, you think back. So her eczema developed after the breast milk, because that's where we're just kind of doing. Because I think a lot of times when it's just from your mom, all is well, right? So answer that for us. But I was gonna say, to start with just that list that you have. Also, we're coming up with a lot of good stuff, Sandra. Yeah, I'm tired now. We've been meeting, honey. January the 1st, we got it laid out for all of you. Want to go and try Carnivore, or you slipped off and need that community? We have formed a group. We have our challenge coming up. So stay tuned. We're going to talk even more about that. The other, did you want to add anything else, Denitra?
So what I would say, and I say this often as well, is that what you want to have that person to consider doing is not eating things in a package, first of all, like in those center aisles. If they want to go low carb, we want to shop around the rim of the stores where it's realer, and I know realer isn't a word, realer food. Around the ultra process is what's going to be in the center of the stores. If you catch yourself tearing open a package, then you're dealing with ultra processed foods, even if it is low carb. Now, I would say something like a pork skin, as long as it's a pork skin that is just the pork, the fat, and the salt, because the flavored ones are going to
Yeah,
add
plain.
maltodextrin and stuff. So you want to do a plain pork skin. But for the most part, you want to be in the back of the store where there is meat. And you can do things simple as, scrambling an egg and eating ground beef together. That's food. I pretty much don't even say meals anymore, because we're looking for fuel to fill our bodies with what it needs. So those are the things that I would say, if they can start doing that, eating one ingredient food. So even if they are still going to want to have vegetables, let's choose our green vegetables versus a potato versus eggplant. You want to choose green beans, you want to choose broccoli as a way to get started. And so as you're eliminating things, you'll start to see what how the body improves. Something I wanted to say earlier was when we think about inflammation on the body, we continue to say inflammation. Of course, in all other worlds, they just say you fat, right? You fat. But essentially you're carrying inflammation. You're carrying, I always say we pre-ate, you're carrying food that did not digest. And so now you're carrying it around on you. And so another thing is that we want to not normalize this, right? So when we talk about things that are rotting on us, that's essentially what's happening. Like, I just want you to have a visual for yourself to say, what if I were to turn my body inside out?
Oh Lord.
Right? So
You know, we had talked about that. They had that ad, if smokers could see their lungs.
right.
Yeah, I remember that. It was looking horrible.
So the thing is, if you turned yourself inside out, then where would you be? You would be able to see when we're fussing about the scale not moving, when we start to change how we eat, then there's this healing that's having to happen first, because before it started to poke here and hang here, it got stuck here and there was nowhere else for it to go. Y'all, that ain't meat. That's all I want y'all to know. That's not meat. Those are these plant-based items, rather it be a baked potato you ate, or rather it is a big bag of something you ate. Like, it takes forever for you to work that out in your body. This is why carnivore works so well, because your body is like, now that you're giving me what I can absorb and I want to keep, I can get some of this other stuff off of you. Okay. So those are the things that you want to have that person to consider, is how do I take away foods in a package? How do I, so you, ground beef and eggs is one of my favorite things. Steak, eggs, bacon, eggs. Those things are the way that you want to start in. So, and you're going to be satiated so that you're not grazing all day long.
Yep. I want to add also, I think about how long, because this is what we're saying to you now, but we could sit here right now and reminisce off of childhood candy. We could talk about Chico sticks. Look, now laters.
Wait a minute. What about cigarettes? Remember the
Oh,
cigarettes?
remember the little one?
Candy
Yes,
cigarettes.
yes,
Yep.
yes. Oh, and that wax with that liquid in it that we don't even know, but they
Those
gave
little bottles.
They call it fat free.
Yeah.
Lord.
It
Oh
is
my
fat
God.
free, but it's just sitting in you. So fat don't sit in you. Fat keeps moving.
Okay, that's what. So yeah, Boston. Look, I ain't doing Boston baked beans, lemon heads, red
Mike
hot.
and Ike's.
There was Mike and Ice. We had baby hot tamales, and the reason why I can call it out, y'all, I was addicted. Oh, I
Me
prefer
too.
candy over a meal. I would eat candy like X amount of days, and my husband would even say, "Have you even eaten?" Okay, I'm gonna go get something. It was like that, and my body. Wonder why. I always say that. Wonder why I was big. Because I'm like, I don't eat a lot of food. I just ate a little bit of candy because that turned around and have. I don't know what somebody else's story was, but when you see the light on, what is that? Everybody know Krispy Kreme.
Oh
The
yeah.
light is on. Oh my God, turn around. The light is on.
We would be here all night if I start telling y'all my Krispy Kreme stories as when I was a
Lord.
teacher.
But I'm just saying, it's so many things. They have the taglines and listen, y'all,
Brilliant marketing. Brilliant.
brilliant, because I'm 60
Yes.
and I'm still can tell you what is the most important meal of the day.
Breakfast.
There you go. But who said it? Kellogg's. And we repeated it to get us to eat the cereal that they put the prizes in, to get you hooked, and you can't even get a prize anymore. So another thing, I was vegan,
Me
and
too.
with that, I
Never.
looked
Never
at
me.
one of the people that I ran into, not in person, but on social media, was Tabitha Brown. I was like, oh my God, we got the same last name. Oh my God, her family's here in North Carolina. Oh my God. And then I'm watching her and I'm like, oh, so inspiring. Tabitha just had surgery.
Mm.
Yeah. She just had surgery. And I know that because when she was so sick in the beginning and went vegan and felt better, thought that that was it, not realizing it was all the stuff that you stopped. But hold up, now you're starting to introduce, just because it's vegan, the smoothies, the nuts, the Oreos, some of it, because that's vegan as well. The potato chips. You don't go somewhere you don't see. You prefer to eat the French fries over salad dressing if it has animal product in it. So you're making these different choices now, and now you ended up having to have surgery. I was
Mm.
supposed to have surgery. I left being vegan, went carnivore, and now I no longer have to have surgery. Literally, nothing now is going on with my body. I have over 50 pairs of glasses. If y'all go and look at some of my earlier shows, I had glasses on every show. Now, none of them I can see out of. It's like my eyesight has changed.
It has
So,
improved.
yeah, it has improved. I tell my husband, I say, oh God, I can't see out of these. I see better without them. And there's all of these different things. And we come on here every week to share, because I'm telling you, January is World Carnivore, not for the month, world. Y'all know what the world is?
World.
World Carnivore Month, because it's not just us in the States. You got folks in Australia, Canada, Mexico, all over that is eating this way, and that's turning their lives around, and it is sharing the story. So let me recap. I go back to Robyn. Her story is beautiful because so many of us know someone that is wearing their shirt down a little bit too much for the uh marks and stuff on their hands and elbows, and you think sometimes, I know it's hot outside, why they got long sleeves on again? Covering up their skin, pulling it up around their necks. Okay, the fingertips and stuff is rough. Let's go to another one. There is what is that, autoimmune lupus. I think of Tony Braxton. It's like, girl, it's the sugar, and it's the carbohydrates, it's all of that. But then we sound crazy because when we try to tell you, it's in your mind. It's the same doctors that were showing that to us. They watch them same old commercials and stuff that we did. And now later on, they telling us the same thing that the commercial, which was advertising. But we believe it. But if you think back a couple of generations ago, they didn't have all of this. And they weren't sick like this either. And we're sitting up here celebrating 80 and 90 years. Some of them reaching to 100. That
And can I just
foundation is
kind of add
remarkable.
to, I was glad to hear you bring up Tabitha Brown. God love her.
I do too.
Sweetest personality ever. But I have that conversation with many people relative to Tabitha. And this is why I say you have to get intimate with your own body versus following someone. I mean, we love Tabitha. You know, she has a line at Target. We all go by her stuff at Target. She's a personality, right? And personalities don't always get it right. And we're saying that vegan, vegetarian, I was diagnosed with lupus. I was able to turn that around with changing what I ate. And so we're admonishing you to get intimate with yourself, learn what's going on in your body. I often say to women that our body and what's going on with it should not be a mystery to us. It should not be a mystery. Same way you know what you would not do to your car, you should also know
Not
what you should not do to your body. And that's what we're here to help with.
That's it. That is it. I am pulling up. I never changed the name of the group. So let me see if I can get this. Nope. I'm trying to get the link. We created a group. Let's see how well this works. Don't know. Let me see. It's a private group. Yep, there it is. It's a private group. We haven't changed the name and stuff on it yet. It is the Hey Sister Girl group where we are coming together because we have World Carnivore Month coming up. But for us, it is just World Carnivore. This is what we are. And we are we have our challenge. If you have, I think it's any device, it can be a Apple Watch, an Android watch, the Fitbit, right? It could be any of those things. Uh, we're going up. We challenging everybody, Lord, for the
Yeah, you can
steps.
go ahead and download the Challenges app. Go ahead and download the Challenges app. Starting January the 1st, we're going to have a step challenge to get us moving, because movement is a big part of how you heal your body. We're not saying excessive
Mhm.
exercise, but movement is a way to start to heal your body. And then World Carnivore Month, come with us. We're going to be showing what we're eating for World Carnivore Month, how we
Mm.
eat. So find us now on Facebook. Our Facebook group is
That's it
Hey
right there.
Sister Girl.
And
Join
if
it.
you look at this one, well, that's just the thing right here. That's what exactly what it's talking about. It's giving you the direct link to download the Challenges app. If you already have the app, then click this link and it will automatically take you straight to the
The challenge.
challenge.
Yeah.
But also this is the keyword right here. All right. So yeah, it is kicking off January 2025 World Carnivore Month. This group is free to join. As you can see, it's 3 members, us. Spank brand new off the presses. Who gonna be first? Huh? Huh? Who coming in? There is your link. You guys can get there. Go ahead and set up. And the challenge start, I think, in 9 days, January 1st. I'm excited. I am
Yes, Trisha.
excited.
Movement goals, honey. 14,400 steps
Yep,
will keep
movement
you.
goals. That's it. Go ahead. Wait. Explain a little bit though,
Sure.
for the people, because
Right. The
go ahead.
challenges app works with any device as long as your phone is hooked and connected to your Apple Watch. I personally use a Fitbit. If you use S Health, any of those apps can speak to the challenges app. And so on the challenges app, you will be a part of the group. And as a part of the group, you will be able to sign up, and we'll be able to see you in the challenges app. And each day, once you reach 14,400 steps, you will get all your bonus points. Now, there is no makeup. I'm going to say that again. There is no makeup. If you don't get all of your points on one day, it doesn't matter if you work 30,000 steps the next day, it's not going to increase it. So the goal is that you're moving every day. So it's close to 15,000 steps. So what we highly suggest is that you break that up. In the morning time, if you need to get your first 5,000 in, during lunch, you get your other 5,000. I have been up. My doctor in Memphis, Dr. Moore, is one who does this with us. I've been doing it with them for over 3 years. But sometimes, because I want to keep my numbers up, I will walk in circles in my kitchen just so I get my steps in. If it's cold outside, I may go to the mall to get my steps in, because our bodies are meant to be upright, meant to be moving. And so
Mm-hmm.
we want to make sure that there's movement happening with the body. As we are learning what goes in the body, now we're also learning what to do with the body in terms of movement. So again, it's like taking in fuel and not driving it off. Using the car analogy again, if you go fill up your gas tank and then you park your car, then the gas that you put in your car is still there. So it's the same thing with your body. If you fill up and you're satiated and you haven't done the ample amount of movement, then that gas is still there. And so we want to be working this gas off.
Yeah, I think that's great how you said that. I told you it's just so many things. And now, honey, I could take every analogy for the car. We talk about putting the right fuel in the body. Well, we talk about what most of y'all know what will happen if you put sugar in somebody's tank.
Gonna
Most
tell
of y'all
you.
know what happened if you add some water to a gas. Right? So you know these different things, and you will buy these cars, but your life is priceless. You were never designed for that sugar and that water in your tank. Now, water for real for people, yes, but okay, that sugar and that soda in your tank. The same way that we know better than to put it. You know better than to give dogs a chocolate bar and regular ice cream. What? Mess their system up, huh? Okay. If you went outside, I love when Carrie talks this way. You went outside and all of a sudden you saw a panda over eating some salmon. You what is going on? Feel like you're in a TikTok video. So I'm saying that, let me get us in there. There we go. I'm saying that, sis, you got to put the right stuff in. So I want to get you excited about our group. We put the link down in the comments right here. There it is. I'm changing the name. It's hot off the presses. If you want to wait till next week, just make sure you are in it to win it in January. I'm gonna tell you right now, I talk big smack.
She do. She
Huh?
do.
Baby, I be taking screenshots all in the thing. Huh? I do. I be getting the people. So come
That's
on with
what's
some of
up.
this. Give me,
Hey, I
give me
want to
some
speak,
more people in here
Miss
to
Bernice. Thank you for sharing that your knees hurt and you can't do steps. I need you marching in place if you can in your chair. If you do nothing but lift your body up, your pelvic area needs to be rising up and down, even sitting in a chair, doing something from side to side. In as much as you can, even in a seated position, I need those knees because that's going to help break up that inflammation that's in those knees. So what happens when we get arthritis or inflammation in our joints, it's because they are stiff because we're not using them. So the old saying about if you don't use it, you'll lose it. I'm not saying you have to do or even consider doing the 14,000 steps that some of us, I don't get mine in every day either,
I
right?
don't either, but I'm gonna stay ahead of all of y'all.
But Miss Bernice, I need you doing something. I need those hands above your head, out to the side, moving your knees as much as you can. Even if if you have steps at your house and you can go raise up at your steps and get in that pelvic area moving. Sitting down is not an option. Okay. Sitting down is not an option. I need you to figure out, even if you haven't using something with assistance to get you up and moving, and you don't have to do it long, but you want to train your body to know that it is a moving vessel. If you teach it that it is a sitting vessel. The other thing I would ask you to consider, Miss Bernice, is potentially doing some fasting, dialing back how much you may be taking in, because if you're not burning that food, that's another way to create inflammation. So this is where we talk about people doing like 3 meals a day. And when they do 3 meals a day, but they are not moving around enough, but they're just on a schedule because somebody told them they needed to eat 3 meals a day.
Mm-hmm.
That is how we store inflammation on the body. So some activity, if you're here with us, which says to me that there is some tech savviness, Miss Bernice.
Yeah.
Google what do we call it? Sit and fit videos. I have been in a class with women who were twice my age. And when I say them sisters was running rings around me and doing exercise from the chair with stretch bands. And so if the goal, Miss Bernice, is to get rid of some of that inflammation, get your body to start, those needs to start, I need you to start cracking that inflammation up by marching in place.
There you go.
There
Well,
you go. Chair exercise. There you go. You got it. And if you are a pool person, being in a pool, if you can find somewhere to do aqua yoga, aqua aerobics, that means that you're doing it weightless. So you can do a whole bunch of stuff with your body in water because it's not feeling the weight of your body. So that may be another thing for you to consider.
My
yeah. But
mom
the biggest
loved
thing,
pool exercise.
yeah, the biggest thing is making sure that we do. We're gonna wrap it up. Robyn, what you got going on in your life, in your
Ooh.
channel, and how you want to close out today?
All right. So I just want to say, thanks for allowing me to share my story. We're finding out that food matters. And this is a huge paradigm shift for us, right? So we're just thinking all this stuff is just happening to our bodies because of age, when it really isn't. We don't necessarily have to go through all of that, what we're going through, and food does matter. So thanks again for letting me share my story. This week on my channel, of course, Merry Christmas to everybody. Wednesday is Christmas, so I want to wish you guys all a Merry Christmas. On Saturday, I will be interviewing Leah Janae
Yeah.
on Carnivorous Grandma Speaks. So I'm excited to have a chance to meet with her on my show. And that's pretty much what's going on with me. I'm just putting out, some videos here and there. I did a rib roast. I cut it down and broke it up into steaks. So you guys can check that video out on my channel. And that was super easy to do. So a very cost-effective way to get a whole bunch of steaks at once. So definitely appreciate that. How about you guys? What do you got going on your channels this week?
Well, what you got going on, Coach Denitra? What you got going on?
So same here. I'm continuing to work with my clients here locally and trying to get the word out. As I said before, if I see something, I say something. I create conversations to have with people. I was traveling on the train last week, traveling to Chicago from Memphis, and I was in a lower cart. And before I got off the train, everybody on that little spot knew what insulin resistance was. They knew all about insulin resistance. They knew one of the ladies was eating some Ritz crackers, and I asked her if she liked pork skins, and she was like, "No, it's got too much sauce." So I said, "Well, let's look up these Ritz crackers you're eating." So that's what I do every day. I am giving information as often as I can. I'm a part of this group that you all got. Super excited about that. Got some other things coming on the horizon in January. Y'all, January is going to be awesome. Get ready, get ready, get ready, as TD Jakes would say.
I know that's right.
Yes.
Well, let me end with this. I was actually going to contact you two ladies earlier today, and I said, you know what? No, I'm going to say this openly on the air. I hope I get this out. We had a meeting earlier today, and I just want to share my thanks, not only with the audience, but with you two ladies. We are a representation of what we're trying to do with everyone in the audience. Each one of us has a life, right? Denitra, we run her information across the bottom. She has coaching services, different things. Our motivator with Robyn, she's in the works for a project that I'm not gonna say anything now because I normally I always tell stuff, but I'm gonna wait. She'll bring it out to you guys. And Frederick and I have started actually another channel. You guys know that we like to travel. Well, I have more years behind me than I have in front of me. And he and I decided that we are going to just do more. We are going over into our retirement, and I actually want to travel to retire. That is the name of the other channel. I'll be putting out a lot of videos and stuff over there, but in everything that I do, he and I are carnivores first. So if I'm on a ship, I'm still a carnivore on the ship. If I'm riding a train, I'm still a carnivore on the train. I just want to live my life to the fullest. I want to enjoy. God did not put all this here for me to sit in the house and not see it and not enjoy it and not walk around and exercise in it, whatever it is that we want to do. So, with all three of us having our differences in backgrounds of what we do, but we come together in unity and present to you, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching. And so, with that, I know as a community, hey, sister girl, we can do this. We can bring up our health. We can bring up our families. We can bring up our finances. This 2025 is going to be remarkable. Because we've been planning. Y'all, get with us. Come on in that group. Let's get to walking and moving. We have a lot, and that's it. And ladies, all I can say, for as large as this world is, that God placed the three of us together, and I am grateful and I am thankful. And for everybody else, love, peace, and hair grease. We see y'all next week.
Good night. Good night.
Bye.